Good morning, everyone. My name's Kieran Sachdev. I'm a master's student in applied computing in the computer science department. This is Christian. Can't pronounce his last name if you want to do it for us. He's in the same program as I am. And this is Akash Venkat, who's in the School of Information, a master's student in social computing, human-computer interaction, and he also has a background in computational psychology. He's the apper, we're the programmers. So we're a critter, and we're trying to, I guess I have to use this. Okay. So we're addressing a new social problem, which you might recognize, the one where everyone is always on their phones, totally engrossed in their phones and ignoring the people around them. We were wondering, how can we tackle this problem? We realized that if people have dogs instead of phones, this doesn't happen. In fact, the dogs act as catalysts of conversations. So our idea is to turn your phone into a dog, or any other animal, which we like to call a critter. The idea is that as critters, as your critter sees another critter, they'll start barking at each other, having a conversation, and our hope is that that will catalyze a conversation between the phone owners.
So, what is our critter made of? There are two essential parts. The first part is the personality. It is initiated the first time you run the app, and the second part is more depending on the current environmental conditions, and it's the mood. So when you put the personality and the mood together, you get the talking critter.
And so for the personality, we use something called the Myers-Briggs personality assessment, and this is a fairly widely used psychometric questionnaire to measure personality preferences. And it describes personality along 4 axes, which are extroversion or introversion, sensing or intuition, thinking or feeling, and judging or perception. And so we have a personality quiz that corresponds to these axes, and it matches you to a critter of a certain personality type. So we'll show you a demo of this.
Control 2, okay. So here's our demo. When you first start Critter, you're presented with the welcome screen, and you have a choice between a dog and a cat. That's the free version. We're going to create a version you have to pay for, where you'll be able to be a dinosaur or anything else. So I'm going to choose a dog. And now I'm presented with all these critters that might be my critter, and oh, which one am I going to be? Well, it's going to depend on my personality. So I'm going to take this personality quiz and say, to what extent do I agree or disagree with these statements? And this relates to the Myers-Briggs personality types that Akash mentioned. So I'm going to go through this fairly quickly. I like introducing myself to other people. No, I'm not more interested in what is than what might be. I disagree with this very much. I like to show my emotions, and I very much like to improvise. Oh, okay, so now I have my critter that I've been matched up with. Great, that's the one I was hoping for. And now I get to name him. I will name him Bob Barker. And I click next, and now I have a roving critter. So this critter is now out in the wild, and he's looking for other critters to talk to. And now we can see that we're presented with its mood.
Right, so the critter has 2 moods, so 2 parameters for mood. And they are calmness and alertness. And so the calmness of the critter basically depends on how active or engaged that critter is at the current state and time. And so that depends on how much you've walked around with your phone, essentially. And we have the alertness of the critter, which depends on the ambient light level in the room. And so the greater the amount of light, the levels of alertness go up, essentially. And so the critter is more alert as opposed to lethargic.
Okay, there wasn't really enough space for me to walk my critter here, but you can see it moved a little bit.
And so these levels move depending on those environmental parameters.
So Christian has a critter loaded up on his phone already, and once these critters recognize that that they're critters, they will start engaging in a conversation. So that should happen any moment now. So what we have is a conversation that depends on the critters' personalities and their moods.
So, in a few more technical details, how do we actually detect nearby critters. So we are using Bluetooth signals, and we are storing the IDs of all the Bluetooth signals that are nearby, and we are sending those to an external server. And then the external server responds whether those IDs belong to critters or not. And afterwards, they exchange messages between the servers, so no pairing is necessary through the Bluetooth.
And when it comes to animal communication, animals don't communicate to transfer information from each other. What they're actually trying to do is just influence each other's behavior. So inspired by that, we've tagged all of the messages that they send each other with these things we called intents, and they're really action verbs. What are they trying to do to each other? Anyone who's studied theater will recognize this too. So every text message actually has one of these 16 intents, which can be interpreted by the other critter and used to create a responding message that's also tagged with an intent.
And so you'll see an example of mood sort of played out in conversation. And so in this case, Robin, our critter, is calm and alert on the left-hand side. And so he tends to collude with Monty, and so he goes, let's play. And on the right-hand side, Robin is antsy and lethargic, and so he responds with an I guess to a good day message. And so we see the same happening in the realm of personality as well. And so here, you have two critters, Monty and Rex, talking to Robin. And so on the left-hand side, Monty is an ENTJ personality, which makes him an extrovert and analytical and confident. And so he flirts with Robin and says, you're such a tease. While on the right-hand side, Rex is an introvert. He has an ISFP Myers-Briggs personality type, and he's an explorer and unpredictable at the same time. And so he goes, and resists Robin initially, but then is unpredictable as well. So he laughs him off at the end with a ha ha ha.
So one of the main things that we learned while implementing this application was that detecting nearby devices that run a specific application is not that straightforward. So it would have been better if we had done a little bit more research into different options. And of course there are advantages and disadvantages for each option, so it would have been better to know a little bit more about that beforehand.
And we also did some small-scale user testing. So we found that people, really liked the idea, and they were sort of responsive to the humor element of it. But ideally, if we could do a more controlled experiment with people that didn't know each other, that we would get, better results going forward as well.
So for future work, we want to make Critter production ready and put it out to the wild. And what that really means is a lot of work on the art side of it, which we need to get images and sounds that we have commercial rights to, and we want to create more personalities and more species. And that's our presentation. Thank you.
So your demo showed how two phones would interact, I guess, without me interacting with the phone itself. Is there a way for me to then contact the person?
Well, the idea is that you're in the same vicinity, right? So we want to get you off of your phone. We don't want to give you a way to now start texting them on your phone, right? We want you to say, oh, someone's got a critter. Oh, it's you. Hey, how's it going?
You can hear the noises and the barkings. So you can probably...
So I follow on the subway to find the...
Something like that. If you hear some barking over the audience, you'll know approximately where to look at.
Yeah. And you'll see the other person looking around too, right?
Great. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Christian.